As the realness would say himself, the red light is on and you know what that means. But I got a question for you. Where did he get those wonderful toys? Welcome to season two of the Wrestling Represents Championship Culture. I'm Brandon the Guy, and do not adjust your screen. It is Tuesday, and I'm joined by the one and only, the 6'12", the realness, the real Dwayne Allen, the CEO, the owner, the creator, the man who is part of the wrestling realm. You thought I was going to add more to it. Of course, the realness himself. He has to join us today. But before we get to that, let me remind you of a few quick things. Did you know at any time you can catch up on all of season one of Championship Culture and all the Wrestling Realm content just by going over to youtube.com/the Wrestling Realm. This includes all 25 episodes of season one and a bonus episode. And you can catch up on all of the episodes of season two. Now, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, which include Instagram, Threads, X, and Facebook, just by going to @the Wrestling Realm. And follow Championship Culture on Instagram just by going to Championship Culture _. Once again, when you follow us, we do follow back. But we encourage you to like, subscribe, and engage in the conversation because as you will see tonight, we're going to be engaging in these comments because I see they're already off to a good start. And trust me, I'm going to get to the comments soon. But don't forget you can download all of our audio content anytime just by going to Spotify. You can watch us on our Twitch channel by using @the Wrestling Realm. Now, summer has been summering for a long time. We know we're about to shift into fall, hopefully sooner than later. We got almost to the, over the hill of the summer, but you can still enjoy a lot of things. But let the guys at the restaurant save you some money. Now, Brandon, how is the restaurant going to save us some money? Well, if you're looking to purchase any tickets for any kind of live concerts, sporting events, and hey, I just got an email today saying that SummerSlam tickets have went down. So if you're looking to purchase those last-minute tickets, go over to SeatGeek.com and use promo code WrestlingRealm. This will save you $20 on any purchase of $50 or more. And I guarantee you, no matter how much those tickets are, you're going to spend at least $50. Just so you let the brother save you $20 on your purchase of $50 more just by going over to SeatGeek.com and using promo code WrestlingRealm. Now, with all that being said, here we are today. And yes, sir, Justin, it's Tuesday. And as you can see, I'm joined today. I'm not going to tackle this one by myself, right? Now, some people may call him Grandpa Ben. I'll call him Uncle Ben because he swears that this is my uncle. What's going on, Ben? Good to join us. Booking like a Mark. What's going on? Glad that you can join us. I know everybody wants to see these wonderful toys and be part of this discussion. But trust me, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. And don't forget, always put your comments in there because we will address them. So, realness. Uh-oh. Looks like, is he there?
No,
you ready?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Now, realness. Throughout championship culture, season one and even season two, it's always been hints of a different type of belt. As you can see, championship belts kind of, was what birthed this. But we got to go back. And when I say take us way back, right? Because we can remember being an elementary, high school, and getting, magazines like WWE. I'm sorry, WWE. Oh, was that my Wi-Fi or yours?
Did anybody look, I'm still here, and I'm still.
Okay.
Are you? I don't know if you're
yeah,
here
I'm
or not.
still here.
I heard you.
It just blinked a little. Probably because I said WWF and the World Wildlife Fund might be after me. But we're treated to a thing called WWF Magazine, right? And there was a lot of ads that exposed us to wrestling belts, right? When you go back and look at some of them, the prices are, I wish we had those prices now. But those were the days. But I remember going to like 7-Eleven, Highs, different stores, and just, wow, my mom was getting something, or like my aunts or whoever I was with, I would go look at those magazines and be flipping through and see certain things, right? But when we talk about this, let's put something on the screen first, because this is really where this all begins, right? When we talk about these advertisements, it was things like this: different shirts, different paraphernalia like teddy bears.
Now we're going back in time.
You know, this was the highlight as a kid. Like, yeah, you would look at the wrestling, bro, but you know, $199 was a lot of money for a replica back then. And we were looking at like, all right, what's the next thing I can get? What's the next action figure? What's the next wrestling buddy that's coming out? Oh, they got lunch boxes. But there was always a special place for the wrestling fan, you know, that wanted a little bit more, right?
Of course.
So where did you see yourself first when you saw this? Was it always going to, you know, those wonderful toys, or was your eye drawn to something else? Talk to the people.
First of all, you lucky I was about to disrupt the entire intro of the show and be like, welcome to championship culture. But I didn't
should have. I would have just went like this.
Because he was laughing. He was almost ready to break. I said, nah, I'm not. I feel like he's really trying really hard to concentrate. But when you talk about what it means to be a belt collector, you got to always remember where it started. If you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And our history is rich in wrestling tradition. And as wrestling fans, I saw a glimpse of those magazine ads, and it took me back all the way to the late 80s, the early 90s, whenever you got a chance to see those things. And as a wrestling fan, as a kid, I don't remember a time where I did not grow up with wrestling. My first memories, I remember literally my brother's room. There's a Sesame Street school box, toy box. There's LJN big rubber guys, WWF superstars in there. There's wrestling buddies there. And guess what? There were WWF magazines everywhere. And in those magazines, I saw those same pages that unlocked what happens to most kids when they're exposed to things that they probably shouldn't be exposed to. And you say, well, what do you mean probably shouldn't be exposed to? It's because when you see it, you're going to want it. Right. So, of course, the ad pages in the famous WWF magazine. Oh, my goodness. Such a glorious and colorful image. And in that image, we saw wrestling buddies. We saw action figures. We saw bed sheets. We saw T-shirts. We would always see our favorite stuffed bears. I always wanted the Bret Hart bear because he was my favorite wrestler. And, of course, look at that classic Razor Ramon T-shirt. You see that? The Bret Hart sunglasses. All that is taking me back. But, of course, the biggest thing that I remember the most are the wrestling belts. You talking about every belt having a goddamn story. This is where this story began for a lot of us. As a kid, you always want to mimic what you see on TV. In the early 30s, 40s, 50s, it's cowboys and Indians. Guess what? Kids that have a cowboy hat, you might get a stick shaped as a gun. You might have a vest or a tassel or whatever. Or you might make some feathers to make a headdress, not to be racist or anything like that. And then you got into the era of the 70s, of the superheroes, of the soldiers and the G.I. Joes, and you put on your army helmet and you went outside and you pretended to be G.I. Joe. And as the comic books came flowing in, you would wrap a towel around your neck. I do have image of this because I did it myself. And you were whatever superhero you decided to be, Superman, Batman, whomever.
That was your cape.
Of course.
So your mom yelled at you, put my towel back.
Literally, there's pictures of my brother practicing his karate moves, and I'm right behind him and mimicking him, and I have a cape around my neck. Nope, like this. That's just the way that it was. And professional wrestling during this era was no different. And guess what? Magazines like this showed us that we could do the same thing because they had the one coveted thing that showed everyone that you were a champion, that showed everyone you were your favorite wrestler, and that is the championship belt. And for the longest time, the WWF magazine was the only place that you could pick these things up. It was either in the magazine itself, or you had to go to a live event. The merchandise stands had them. So, you know, from a distance, being a kid, you know, every wrestling fan as a kid, we all know what your first belt was. You found some cardboard, you found a piece of paper, you did something to carry it out, to figure it out, because
back in black and red marker. You had to
Of
make sure you had a
course.
blanket because the red markers how you scribbled in your jewels. Hmm.
This is where the engineers of the word came from, because if you didn't have something, you created it. Everybody made their own wrestling belt. If you were a wrestling fan and you had brothers, cousins, or people you tussled with, everybody had a wrestling belt. But lo and behold, they actually had these things they actually created, and it was almost a coveted possession for a kid. And guess what? These original WWF foam toy belts were no exception. This is the first place where I was like, oh yeah, we need one of those belts in this house, because how else will we know who's going to be the champion around here if we don't have the championship belt to identify it? So that's where it all began. Loving wrestling, mimicking wrestling, want to be a part of wrestling. If you had a championship belt in your house, you were special because it was a
Hmm.
big deal.
And I believe my favorite from Four Sides of the Ring agree with you with everything you're saying. And of course, um, Mike is in the building from Melvin Alpha Mike. Mike, share your story, your first exposure to a toy belt. And then I'm going to go on a limb and say that this is Marcus this time. This might be the founder, or it might be Channel. I don't know who it is, right? But we're going to get back to this, right? I just had to address this. He said, "Hi, guys," in the Jericho voice. That was my Jericho impression for the night. Um, we're going to get to this, Justin, because this is very near and dear. Do you see this comment? My first ever,
Oh, I
my
can't wait
very
to discuss
first
that.
was the foam oval IC.
Oh, he had such a
We,
terrible childhood. I'm so sorry, Justin.
Justin,
I'm so sorry.
you
You deserve better.
I'll never forget when my buddy Pedigree me on my toy spinner belt in the backyard and pinned me for it. He still has it to this day.
Because that's how it worked. This is how it worked. When you were a kid, if you got beat for that championship, for that belt, you got beat. Like, you had to win that thing back. Everybody has this version of this story somewhere in their childhood. I'm telling you, this is where this whole belt collecting thing started for many of us. It started right here.
And it's crazy that you would say that because when you saw him in the magazine, or if you were, and I'm gonna just say like me, if I was fortunate enough to go to a live event and saw it in person, it
Mhm.
was like a awe. It was like a
Yes, it was.
mesmerizing. It's like a, I want that. And then like as we progress through our age, even though we could still get these, it's something about a toy belt that just makes it interesting. It makes it feel a little different. And it's interesting because when you have them, it's like it's not a mini, it's not a replica, it's
Mhm.
not a commemorative, it's a toy belt for a reason. Not the action figure toy belt. We're talking about the toy belt, not necessarily for a kid. It's a toy belt. So realness,
Yes, sir.
what sparked you going down this avenue of the toy belt? Because anytime you could have broken off like action figures, people collect them, they keep them, and they keep going, right? Or they decide they branch off to things like Funko Pops. They branch off to the standees that are like action poses. You know, it's so many avenues for it. When it comes to wrestling belts, because clearly we know you like wrestling belts,
Sure.
what what made you say I'm gonna stay in this avenue?
You got to understand something. The wrestling belt, the championship, was a special thing. Let me tell you how special it was. As a kid, as a collector, belts were rare. Even in action figures, they weren't just creating championship belts for action figures back in those days. You had to get like special box, special series, JC Penney only championship box sets where you would get 4 action figures, and each championship, each box figure would have a special championship on it. So it wasn't a regular thing. That didn't really start happening until almost like, I don't know, 2000, late 90s, 2000s ish, right? Where so having the belt overall was like, okay, cool. This was definitive. It made a difference. It made things stand out. And it was no different with, okay, cool. If you can't get the toy belt, it's okay, cool. I made my own belt. I'm good at it. It ain't good enough. And a lot of times they were unstable. So, if you have a good round of wrestling, you know what I mean? It's a good chance it would break. So it's like, okay, cool. This is stable. I need a real belt. I need something I can walk around, I can carry. Now, this image up here, for those who are looking at this, oh my goodness,
This
it
is
takes me back.
nostalgia on 1,000%. Because, and I'm gonna break down the one on the left, the SmackDown one. I'm gonna let you do the one on the right. When the SmackDown one came out, the packaging was different. You could see it literally is the replica of the Realness's favorite belt, right? The World Tag Team
Absolutely.
Championship. And it's almost like they said, let's take all of the great elements from that design and make it so that kid will feel as close to that championship or that thing that you see on TV. No matter if the Hardys had it, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, whoever was the tag team champion, you felt like you could sit there like Mike from Elf and Off, Mike would do with the hand gestures as like your Matt Hart. I'm sorry, Jeff Hardy. But you felt like that was a big deal. But then talk about the one on the right, because I'm gonna let you break down this foam one, because this was the era of the foam belts, if I'm correct. Because uh, KB Toys was very interesting what they did with their belts, right?
No doubt. Mr. Producer, do we have the single image of that belt on the right when it's in a single image? Because I'm about to go in on it. Like this is
I figured you would, because I wanted
no,
you to
you
break
say
this down.
every belt has a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
That belt was the first WWF foam belt that was available in stores, like and in catalogs on a regular basis. And that was during the Attitude Era. Previously, like I said, the original belts, the brown belt, a gray belt, a white belt, they were in the catalogs or at live events. But this belt was the first belt. There, oh, look at that thing. Look at that gold foil. That belt was the first belt. It was this one in the oval IC title on purple foam in toy stores. You can imagine I'm walking into Toys R Us. It is summer of 1997 or 1998. It's summer of 98. My cousin from Holland, she was in town for her birthday. Her and her mom came from out the country. And she came and customary to a family function, you take all the kids to the toy store and let them get a toy. So of course, during that era, I went straight to the wrestling section. And what do I see? Lo and behold, this championship staring me in the face. And I said, oh my word, I need this. And I got that belt and I took that belt out the package and I carried that belt with me throughout the whole cookout. Mind you, I'm 9-10 years old and I look like I'm 12 because I was always big with no shame in the world. This is the belt that I carried with me everywhere. Previously, I had a watch. And when I was fake wrestling with my buddies and their brothers, we would be anywhere having ladder matches. We just had like a watch or something like this. I said, it's on now. And I was telling everybody that I knew, hey, I finally got the belt. This belt was on my shoulder. This belt was in wrestling matches. This belt went over so many foreheads to the point where the gold image foil from this championship belt, this foam belt, eventually scratched off. And all you saw was a black plate. And I'm not the only one because Brian H did the same thing. Like Brian H still has his. Mine, of course, didn't make it. I'd had me and my brother had many wrestling matches. Brian H he has his, and it's just the center plate is just all black plastic because the gold foil is completely scratched off. But that championship was the first one. It was that one, like I said, that one, then the IC title, but that was the one that kind of set the tone. When I say I had that championship everywhere, I would wear it on my shoulder. Like I'm telling you, like this was a remake of that belt. In like 90, I don't know what year it was. They re-came out with it and it was kind of embossed. So like it was but I broke mine and I put tape on it and it became the Hardcore Championship.
And you wrote that on it, didn't you? That was
I literally did. No, literally.
That was your Hardcore Championship.
This has been this way for years. So what I used to do is I used to walk around literally with it on my shoulder like this as a kid. And probably when I got older too. And you couldn't tell me anything. This made me feel like I was the champion. This made me feel like I was the guy. And a lot of times my brother had this and I was chasing a lot of times because I was like, okay, well, you'll be the world champion. I'll be the IC title guy. And we're going to do this Warrior Hogan type bit. And, I was chasing a lot. He was always the champion in a lot of situations. We used to set up the camera and when my mother used to go to work and we used to cut promos before our matches. Right after Raw went off, my mom, hopefully, thank God she doesn't watch none of my stuff. She would go to work. She worked 11 to 7. She would get up at 10 o'clock at night and go to work. As soon as she left out the house, it was wrestling time. And that belt was the centerpiece of it. So I had that belt maybe in 1990, summer of 98, I believe it was. And I never looked back since.
Belt down. But since you said that, I just want to point out the fact that, looking like Mark said, Dwayne literally described my childhood from the arts and crafts homemade belts to the generic dollar store ones to the official WWE titles.
That is the story. That is the story. That is the story, man. Like every belt has a story. Like this is where it began for a majority of us.
And just like Brandy Savage said, whenever I got a toy championship belt, it always felt real to me. It still
Facts.
does. And we're going to
Yeah.
get to that. I promise you. Because when you see this collection that this man has, I'm telling you, that's what I like to hear. When I got my first roll belt, I kept it next to me in the bed.
Bro, every time.
Tidbit, Hugh does too. But we're gonna keep that to now, Justin, you got some explaining to do. If you live this close to us and we're just figuring this part out, because he said KB Toys when my mom used to take me to Mondawmin Mall. Now, did you prefer the one in the Mondawmin or did you prefer the one in Oy's Mills? Because I feel like the one in Oy's Mills was huge compared to the one in Mondawmin. But we're gonna keep that. I want to see what he's gonna say with that. But Realness,
When a white
do you mind? Yeah, the white brush one was the biggest one because it was it was.
And then don't forget Towson bottom floor.
See, I put Towson on my mind because we didn't go to Towson. We always went to. Yeah, we didn't go to Towson.
Yep, Towson had one on the bottom floor next to it was next to a Rite Aid at the time. Yeah, see, I'm taking you back. I'm telling you.
See, and because remember, Oy's Mills was on the bottom level in the corner of the mall, like it wasn't even by Anchor. It was just literally in that corner of the mall.
See?
But so we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna derail because we usually have a run there, but I think it's time for us to have some fun and realness. And I'm saying this because I'm gonna share my very first toy belt.
Oh,
and I'm gonna turn it over to you, right?
We've never had this discussion before.
We haven't, and it's crazy because if you know me, you should know what my very first toy belt was.
All right, hold on, let me think.
And I'm gonna tell you this story.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had this, and you know how I've never really been a signature person because I always feel like the signatures will rub off or you might forget, and then you really can't tell. My issue with signatures, you can't tell unless it's a picture that person took it. So like, say if I was to sell a belt to you,
sure,
how do I know you just didn't write some on there, right?
Yeah.
But my very first toy belt, and this was crazy because I always liked this belt. I always loved the design. Which one is it, Realness?
First, I gotta ask you, where did you get it from? Because that's gonna give me the time frame. Because I'll be honest with you, some of these belts that I bought, I was grown when I got them. Like this isn't, it wasn't always a thing when I was a kid. Like it was less sophisticated and not that many options. But then a couple years later, I'm like, wait a minute, they didn't have this a few years ago. Snatch. Now they're mine.
Yep, and that's how I felt about it. Because
where did you get it from?
Where?
Yeah,
I actually brought it from Walmart.
Okay, all right. So we're talking Walmart. Do you remember what year it was?
2001. It was post high school because I remember when I took that semester off. I remember I purchased it.
All right, hold on. Let me think.
Because I kept saying, well, you know what? And then right after it, I got my first real belt.
In 2001, I'm trying to see where I'm at. Okay, so in 2001, I got to go through my collector history in my head. I'm not going to take long, I promise. That was like at the height of the Attitude Era. WCW was finished. It's got to be the Undisputed Championship, is it?
No, that wasn't my first replica.
No, I'm talking about your first toy belt. Bro, I knew it. I should have said that.
Of all things. That's why I kind of gave you a clue, but it's crazy because
I had a feeling that's what it was.
Now, it's a signature on the front of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you see the little blue thing I'm trying to show you. And I'm gonna just give you this quick. It has that signature, Derek Frazier, Monty Brown, and Sanjay Dutt. I got all these and this signature on the front at one show. And it was right when my guy, Christian, left WWE and he went over to TNA. Him and Monty Brown had a match at MCW at what's the army base below Arundel Mills or going towards down that way. Is it Fort Meade?
Yes, Meade.
Yeah, yep. Remember they were running shows out of there.
Yeah.
And Christian, me and my nephew were there, and Christian, I yelled 5-second pose, and Christian actually did it, right? And then he said at the end of the match, he said, I don't know what a Sarageri is, but you're the toughest MF from there. And they were signing everything. So that's this one. And that's why it's special to me because Christian Cage signed this one. Ah, look at that. Look, you don't hate the belt. But Realness, what was your first belt? What was your first toy belt? Let me make that specific. What was your first one? You said you had the Big Eagle phone one, but was that your first one? What was your
that was my first one. But let me tell you about my first experience with the toy belt. 1995. My cousin.
My Velcro is coming off. Hold on. All right.
See, That's how I know you didn't play with yours. It's because there's no
No,
such thing as Velcro.
I replaced it.
Oh, okay. So never mind. See, I used to replace mine with rubber bands. I used to put
No,
rubber
I
bands in
replaced.
that would keep them together and throw them over my shoulder. But 1995. First of all, my god brother was my cousin and my uncle. They were bigger wrestling fans than me. Like it was always me, my brothers, my dad, and then of course my god brothers and their dads, because they were huge wrestling fans. My father grew up going to wrestling shows with his father, and my uncle used to be he's a general manager. He's been a general manager in hotels for years. So he was always getting tickets. So he would always take my cousin, my god brother, and all that kind of stuff. And he had one. He had the WWF championship on the brown foam, and he had it at a sleepover. And of course, one of the gifts he got for his sleepover, I don't remember how old he turned. He was one of those Coliseum video mashup videos, with a bunch of wrestling matches on it. And of course, it was a sleepover with a bunch of boys. And guess what they did? They pulled out the wrestling belt. So we spent all night tussling, and then my cousin Terrence, he for some reason he had the belt and didn't want to let it go. And my brother, who was bigger than all of us at the time, decided, I'm the biggest one here. You're gonna give up the belt. And he tries to snatch it from him and literally rips the foam, like rips it in half, because Terrence didn't want to give it up. They're like, Terrence, give up the belt. Let somebody else hold it. Because we watching the wrestling, and everybody passing the belt, like, all right, my turn. Here, there you go, my turn. Now I get to hold the belt. You did that. And then Terrence decided he didn't want to give it up. So my brother snatched it from him. So I was heartbroken because I never got a chance. So that was my first experience literally with a wrestling belt in hand. That was my first toy belt experience. But the Big Eagle first flat gold and black foil foam belt was my very first wrestling belt, period. You know what the crazy part is? I should have brought my other belt and I didn't bring it with me. My commemorative. I just realized that. That's this is bad form. I'm getting old. So yeah, that was my first belt. That was my very first one that I had. And I want to say I had two of them, because the first one I tore up and I got another one and I tore that one up too. So yeah. So that, like I said, then I got the reversion around that same time. But this clearly had the scratch logo on it. And like I said, it wasn't the same because it had a lot
blue,
of
detail. That's blue. Isn't the foam on that blue?
It's blue, and it has so much detail to it. Like it wasn't just the first one was just a flat plastic plate with like print on it. This was like, clearly you see, Attitude Era scratch logo. But of course I tore it up and decided, well, if I broke it, might as well be a hardcore championship. But this was the replacement for that I got years later. But that blue one, that was and I need to go get it. Like I'm gonna get it off eBay or Mercari or something and just keep it for keepsake, because it was special to me.
So walk us through your collection, because that's what I'm interested in. I think the people need to see that, because when we finish this, I'm going to make a comparison that's probably going to blow some people's mind. But let's walk through, if you don't mind, could you walk us through your collection? Sure. I'm going to kind of say it like every belt has a story, but now at this point, I want to know, where do you get these wonderful toys? Because that's what they are.
Wonderful toys.
Because as I try to keep this from sliding down my shoulder.
He's no Steph Hardy.
No, definitely not.
So, like I said, you all have seen this one. This is one I bought like 5 of these at one time. And if you watch season 1 or 2 in the wrestling realm, you will notice that these were hanging in the background on the wall as decoration. I got that one, and I remember getting this one. This was my favorite. You couldn't tell me, oh look, I got Velcro on mine too. It's still there.
It's stuck. That's what happened to mine. It got stuck, and so I replaced it. But I thought you didn't like the oval.
No. See, by the time I got this, it grew on me because it was on a black strap and it was bigger, right?
You just didn't like the purple strap.
Yeah, I didn't like how small it was. But see, I call it the Jericho title because that's what made it cool. That whole era. So I got, this was my belt. I was always the Intercontinental Champion. That was always, look at him. See, there's the proof. So I got this championship, and I also got, see on the back of this says 2000. So it was around that time. So I got this.
But wasn't that cool? They used to put the date on there and who made it and all that stuff, so you could tell where. Because I think these say this was from the World Wrestling Federation. So this is actually World Wrestling Entertainment. So
and this was probably my favorite one because I never thought they would make a toy of this one. This is one of my favorite championships of all time. Is this WWF European? And like I said, if you notice, these are all WWF championships. You know what I mean? So
where did you get that from? Because I can never find that one.
See, look, this one says 2001. I think Toys R Us. Toys R Us just had them,
I
and
never could find that one.
I don't know why I had money in my pocket for some reason, but I said I'm getting all of these, and I got these three at the same time. So I remember getting all of these, and I was like, I'm going to come back and get the tag title, and I never got the tag because I wanted to get two tag titles, which I probably ended up going back and doing. So I ended up getting this. This has always been one of my favorite championships ever. Shout out to Shawn Michaels.
Did you see what Mike said? What a beauty.
See, and so these three were the first ones that I like really got outside of that. Like, and this was, mind you, I was in the 7th grade, 7th or 8th grade at the time when I got these. Like, it was no shame in my game. I didn't care. And then a couple years later, they started to, thank you. See, there you go. See, that's called being ingenuous. And then a couple years later, Jack Pacific started doing the classic Superstars line, and I noticed that they released these. They released the classics versions of these old school titles on foam belts as well, which I thought were absolute beauties because these are two of my favorite championships ever. Like, I grew up with these championships. These were mine. If they had these when I was a kid, I would be in heaven. But like when I saw these, I was like, bro, these are like a game changer. And I was older when these came out. I was, by the time I was in probably high school or college, and I was like, bro, I'm getting this anyway. It's because this is the closest I could get to this championship in general. Like, because they didn't. I don't know if they had just started making these classic like replicas of this, but I was a kid in high school. There was no way in the world I was getting my hands on any of these anytime soon. And this one's just this winged eagle. I mean, oh my goodness. Like, these were, even during the Attitude Era when I had those other belts, these are the belts that I wanted, because you got to remember during that time we had tapes, we had magazines, and I was exposed to these more often than our mainstream belts that we had on weekly TV. But I fell in love with these championships. So when I saw these in the stores, I went and got them. Now, the funny thing about these championships is when they package them, they will put them in this plastic that will make them look so much bigger than they really were. Like, you'd be like, oh, that looks nice. It's nice and big. But it was like, what do you call it?
Because it was like a round. I think it was like a round packaging that always stood out. It's on the one with the I think we have a picture. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up, because I think you're talking about how they were.
There it is.
Yes, that. How they made them look like the center plate was so much bigger.
Look how big those were. Literally, those are literally the belts that I bought. Like, it was that one and literally that one. Like,
and they showed the detail of it. Like, when you really look at that, you can see the eagle wings. You can see the globe. You can see, the actual. Granted, the WWF is red on that one, and you can see the banner of the Nakano. You can see the star pattern. Everything about it was just screaming, "Hey, this is literally for the smaller watchers, the smaller viewers, the kids." You know what I mean? And it was always a thing where it's like that packaging alone, just like, I just remember seeing the SmackDown, because it was like SmackDown was the cool new thing at the time. You know what I mean? It was like, oh yeah, I got to get that belt. And then the real one was just, yep, you want to be the world champion? Here you go.
Yeah. So, and then another one that I got around that time was this undisputed one that came a little bit later. So I got this one around the same time I got the classic the IC and the Winged Eagle.
But look how good that thing looks.
So like, this is a toy. Like, I was like, bro. And once again, they catfish you with the plastic, the packaging. Like, it look really big until you pull out the package. You're like, it's okay.
Because how they made it.
This was my first belt collecting. Like, you talking about everybody has a story. This was my chance, because I couldn't afford, the regular replicas, but this was as close as I got to it. Like, and I was content with this. Like, I was good. I was like, bro, I'm good with this.
And that was around the time they were like $19.99 or something, right?
Yeah, and even then, that was a lot of money for me. But to me, I had nothing else better to spend my money on at the time. So, especially in that price range, you know what I mean? So that was like, for years, these were my championships. Like, this was in my collection. This was me collecting, and then eventually, the next belt that I would eventually get was the Toys R Us exclusive. I guess they didn't call it the commemorative championship. Did they? I think they did.
I think they did with the.
Yeah, it was. First of all, it was big. It was a big package. It was a big size, and I was like, bro,
huge box.
Cool. huge
It
box
was
at
a
Toys R
huge
Us,
box.
and it was something you can get in the stores because before you could get commemorative titles, but you had to order them from WWF shop or the magazines or live shows or whatever the case may be. But that was the first time I could just go up the street to Toys R Us and it was right there, and I was like, yeah, I think I need that, and I ended up
I,
getting it for Christmas. My mama
I
bought it
brought
for me.
mine from Route 40. Yep. And the thing I loved about that, the package was big. I think it had Roman Reigns on the cover. And the thing was, it's strange you would say that because these toy belts kind of became a gateway to go towards commemorative belts. Because remember, at one point, it was just the commemorative belts came after replicas because they wanted a cheaper alternative for
Yep.
people to purchase. But
Yeah.
then I didn't think it was a cheaper alternative. I thought it was an upgrade from a toy belt
Yeah.
because we go from having the toys spending 19, 24, if you had to show maybe $30. Now you can see on eBay some of these toy belts go for as little as $2 all the way up to like 200, depending on what they are. Average price you're probably gonna spend between 30 and like $80 is what I've seen, depending on which one you want. You want it in a packaging. But these commemorative, and I think WWE realized, okay, we're selling one else site for 149,
They,
199,
they
whatever the
definitely were like
price.
$50, $200. And I'm like, bro, the real ones are like $200 and $250. What's the point?
And Toys R Us was selling for $99.
Yeah.
And then they came out
Yep.
with the women's version. It had Charlotte Flair and I think Sasha Banks on it. I think they were on it. Don't quote me on that, but it's interesting because as the belt evolved, it felt like the toy belt evolved too. Because if you look at your undisputed belt in comparison to the Oval IC, it's like two totally different belts when you look at them, and it's crazy because now just the gold alone on there or the color just looks totally different, right?
Mhm.
And the only thing is, you're gonna hate when I say this because I know you
Uh-oh.
have it. I feel like they took a step back with the network belts. The network belts feel like they really went backwards with them because it's hard to do them justice if it's not a replica.
I agree.
So,
I mean, I like as much as I want to, I get where you're coming from. So,
because look at that. That thing is a beaut. If you look at the undisputed belt and look at that, that looks like if you had you and your kid were going to the show and y'all both had your belt. Come on, get your belt. Let's go. Yes, they sell kids belts. Yes, they sell kids smaller versions of the belts, but that's perfect for a kid. You see that at the show, you spend $30 on it. Here you go. They flapping around. They play with their brothers and sisters or with the other kids, like Dwayne has alluded to. It's just perfect. So Justice says it didn't say commemorative on the box. Okay, I thought it did, but maybe when they were selling them online, I probably was thinking about that. But they were selling them, and they were huge boxes, and they didn't come with belt bags. That was the other thing.
no, because it was so rigid and tight, but I didn't care. Once again, for me, that was one step closer to, you know, because at the time I didn't have any replica belts, and like I said, I was in no place to be spending any that type of money on replicas anyway. So I was content. It was big. It was, it fit the mold. It was the same size. It might have been a bit plastic, but I was like, well, it's fine. It holds up. It still looks like it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, same vibe. I walked around the house with it. Asked my if I wish I'd have known because I had photos of me on Christmas, grown man and all, like over my shoulder, like no shame at all. So so yeah, but so things evolved, and like I said, they had these toy belts that started coming. They started getting way more sophisticated. They started having these real like Brian H got this at a show one time, and they would just hand them out. You know what I mean? This is new network stuff, and it's got something that looks more like a leather strap and all this new fancy stuff. And then I got a Universal. Like I said, this is when the kids get involved. I got an NXT one around somewhere, but I think I left it. But like I said, stuff like they started to get more realistic as far as the
Floppy this. I'm
straps
trying to
of it.
make him.
Yeah, we got to measure the floppiness of the
Yeah,
belt.
because you know how
And
some belt people are. But it's crazy because when you see kids with that, it doesn't feel the same like our childhood.
it
It
doesn't.
doesn't feel the same when you see it. Like, yeah, kids will have it, but I feel like it's too. It took a step back, and do you feel that they took a step back or they took a next step evolution?
I think sometimes evolution is a step back, right? It's because sometimes things think about all the let's get a little geeky about it. How many times do we see new movies of our favorite superheroes, comic books, and all stuff look really good in these movies, but then we prefer the original. It's because sometimes, yes, the technology is advanced and we can do everything digital, but it doesn't have the same feel to it, right? How many Ninja Turtles movies has we've had, and people are still saying that either the first Ninja Turtles or Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze is still the best version, because sometimes the simplicity of it brings better results in quality, and it's sometimes just a better product. But the technology has evolved, but it doesn't mean that the movies are better. It doesn't mean that the brand has grown to a point where people go, okay, I liked it, but I still prefer the original. And that's kind of how I feel about this championship. And this is the one that the brothers brought back for the sake of you look at that. So we have a rather classic looking belt with a modern look to it, but it still has the same, it's got a strap to it. Look at it, it's much more sophisticated. It's got
bolts on the back. It looks like a real. It got a curve to it. It's got
a nice
some
curve to it.
Got some details.
The straps are actually sewn on instead of like pasted like ours used to be. So this is the belt that's probably going to last the kid a long time. You know what I mean? But like I said, for the sake of evolution, this is a good belt. But does it feel the same as this one? No. This one just has a certain vibe to it. This one has my memories attached to it. And kids are spoiled these days. There are belts everywhere. It took us a while to get to this point. So we experienced a time when it wasn't there. And then when it showed up, it was like, oh, wow, this is special. Kids growing up, but this is the norm. This is at Target, Walmart, Walgreens. It's nothing. Back
it's
in the
available.
Day,
they can get it. It's available. Amazon, you name it, you just click it and it's there.
To get a belt was a big deal. Now it's like, oh no, it's normal. That's what it comes with. Where's the belt at? And I don't. Every kid has had a moment where they put the belt around their waist, no matter how long that moment lasted. It's a part of their childhood, and for us that just never grew up, include myself, and never grew out of it. Yes, it did evolve, and it evolved into this. You know what I mean? Now it was like, okay, cool. Now it's time to get these because now we can afford it. Now we can order it. Now we know who to go to. And guess what? The stuff is available now. It wasn't as readily available, but you never forget where you started and where you came from. And toy belts, man, that's just where it's at, man. Like even friend of the program, official JB Toys belts, he shares in our affinity of toy belts the same way everybody else does, because this man has even gone to the lengths of creating real replicas of those classic WWF foam titles that used to be in the WWF magazine. So I'm sure he's going to love this show.
So you mean like these?
Absolutely. Look at that.
And the thing, so talk about this, Realness. What makes these special? Because I don't think people really understand why these are so special. Because they look, when you first glance at them, they look like nostalgia. Right? But what's so special about these?
This is the very first. This is the beginning. This is where belt collecting started for majority of wrestling fans, especially those of us who are still in it today. When you see those belts, this reminds you, oh my gosh, there it is. There's the tag title. There's the world title. The IC title used to come on a brown strap, in rinse and repeat. And this, having those belts, even as kids, was special. And it was so special that it has followed us into adulthood, including for, official JB belts. To the point he is creating replicas of the thing that got him into this. And as proof of it today is because now as he creates his own championship belts and customizes things, he has paid tribute to the thing that got him involved. This was the first. This is the definitive moment where you decided as a wrestling fan, I need to be the champion. And seeing these belts gave you that opportunity. It was a step up from having to create your own. So, because you have your championship. You didn't wrestle a full-time schedule. It's ripped. You got to start over. Now you're fighting for real because the belt is gone. Your mother's getting mad because you're using all the tin foil for the plates. Like, it's getting out of hand. All the glue sticks are ran out and they're supposed to be for school. I got in trouble a few times. That's okay. But this whole
your markers didn't dry it out.
The markers. So now the colors on your belt is uneven because you didn't did too much on one side and now the other side is not complete. It's stressful. As a kid, it's stressful, right? But like I said, the moment you saw that in that catalog, you were like, oh, I need that. The moment you saw that at a show, oh, I need that. And like I said, it was special because it wasn't readily available everywhere. You had to order that from the catalog. You had to get that from the show. And when you had it, it was a big deal in your home. And like I said, that those are memories as wrestling fans. Those are the stories that we'll always hold on to, is because they inspire us to do what we do today, especially in this championship belt space. Where people are creating and designing, just like yourself. You know what I mean? Certain things you don't have to grow up. You just have to evolve. So yeah, sure. I may not be able to have a full-blown wrestling match, but you know what though? I can get my favorites and I can put them on display. And every once in a while, if I want to throw it over my shoulder, god dang it, I'm going to throw it over my shoulder. And I'm like, that's how you stop Father of Time. That's how you refuse to grow up. And even those belts, those replica belts of those foam titles, it's a perfect example of it.
And it's crazy because I had this one too for Jack specific. And I was just looking at.
That was the coveted one. Did that come in a 2-pack?
No, this was individual.
Action figures, or you got it solo?
I got it solo. I actually brought it from a show. I didn't buy it from like a actual store. I brought it from a show, and it was crazy because I remember seeing. Stop it. I remember seeing this and saying, you know what, that belt isn't too bad, because I remember seeing the United States title on TV and was like, why did they just put a flag? And I was like, oh, it actually doesn't. It doesn't look bad. Hence,
there you go.
I have 2 of them. One of them has a scratch logo. One of them has the more cleaner logo of the real ones. But if it wasn't for me seeing this in person and saying, you know what, doesn't look bad, and with the toy belts, I just want to talk about the details. When we talk about belts, we really want to get technical. It would have been a stack because the flag is actually the basis of it, and they stacked everything above it, even to the point, if I wanted to, I could have got a label maker and put a name.
There you go.
And I've seen people do that and have one.
You think they had that in mind? Because it looked like that's what it's there for.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've seen people do it where they actually put a name on there. Even with some of the real ones, people have posted what the fonts were for each one.
It's the same one for this one. Like it's.
Yeah, you can find what fonts for which belt they used, and they'll tell you which one. A lot of people use that Cricut, any kind of label maker, and make those type of labels. And it's crazy because something in here. And my other toy belt is still in the package.
Oh, wow.
Still in the package. It's not coming out. It's going to stay in here. It's on my wall of Jericho.
Okay.
Because, of course, he's on.
Okay. See, that now it all makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. The wall of Jericho.
He's probably the greatest AEW champion of all time.
Yes. If he just stops. If he stops now, he's. Yes,
his run is the most memorable run with that title. I'll say that. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's pretty fair. And
because when I saw the image, when I saw the picture, that picture, you know me, I'm a photo guy. That picture stands still in time because that shows an era of TNA when TNA was like, of AEW when AEW was like, okay, we're here.
And just so the belt people know, this is version 1. Because it was the silver and silver. They have newer toys out where they actually have the gold in there. But I remember seeing these on clearance. I had brought it when I first saw it, but then I saw that they were on clearance. And I kept saying, oh, Tony Khan must about to do something else. But I don't know if you can see it. It has bolts in the back, similar to what your world title has.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll just have you know, I missed all of AJ Styles and LA Knight's match at WrestleMania because I was in line to get that belt.
Wow.
So you got to watch it, and I was in line. But, Brother Realness.
Yes, sir.
We come to the point where I'm going to ask you this question.
All right, here we go.
And I want you to pick, right?
Oh, geez.
Because you hinted at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When adults get money, we do stuff like this, right?
There you go.
When we still have the option to buy the toys on, right?
Yep.
If you had the money, would you prefer to buy the replica, or are you going to keep going for the nostalgia of the toy belt? That's a good question, right?
And I'm gonna tell you why, because I was talking to Brian H earlier at work when I was supposed to be working, but I decided I didn't want to do any work today. And I was saying that I had this attitude of this chip on my shoulder where it's like unfinished business. That's why I'm always going and going and going and going. It's because I felt like I got unfinished business. On one hand, the obvious answer is, of course, yeah, get the replicas because the replicas will be the replicas. If I get all the replicas I have, because I have a list. If I get them all, I knock them out and I'm set up like you and I say, okay, I got them all. I know in my heart, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. I still got to get the ones that I didn't get. I still got to get the original foam titles that I never had a chance to get. the original ones that we saw in the catalogs. The brown strap IC title, white strap world title, gray strap tag team title. Like I need those foam belts, and I'm going to go back and I need to get my original, the first foam belt that I had, is because they take me back to a place that I remember. And every time like the first image you show as the show started, I went back to 1992, 3, 91. Doesn't even matter what year it was, but I remember that era. I remember seeing those ads, those magazines, those belts over and over and over again. And I'm like, you know what? I still don't have those. And I'm like, I need to take time and say, let me just go and get them and just call it a day. So part of me wants to say, yeah, the replicas will always be there, but the scarcity of these toy foam belts that are special to me in my childhood and how I got here in the first place, my foundation, are going to become more and more scarce. So to be honest with you, I think most likely I got to go back and get those. Now, once I get them and they're solidified, I'm like, okay, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. They're part of me. Then, the chase for replicas will always be there because there's always going to be something like that nice MCW tag team championship that you have behind you, which is an absolute beauty. It's just gorgeous.
So I'm gonna address the comments in a second, but I want to address what you said because I want people in the comments to respond. No matter what type of collector you are, you always go back to those moments.
There you go.
The toy belts are always going to have moments because I find myself, and I do it all the time. I'm always looking. When I look for wrestling figures, I'm never looking for myself. I'm always looking for like you or David and April. I'm always like, oh, let me see if they want this. Let me see if they want that. Right.
So I got this one right here. Being a good brother.
Right. I never really shop for myself, but I feel like if I go down the aisle, like when they re-released the Ninja Turtles from our childhood, I brought all four of them because I was like, it takes me back to that moment.
Oh yeah, same thing.
You automatically say that. I just want to know, do these toy belts take you back to those moments more than the replica? Because you could be that kid watching X, Y, and Z win this match, whatever it may be. You get the replica, cool. But then if you have the toy belt, it's going to take you back to that exact moment, being a kid, maybe jumping in front of your TV with the belt, being that kid at that moment. I always feel like these toy belts or whatever takes you back to that moment is always going to be the thing that's more special. Hence why the first toy belt I had was the Intercontinental belt. Mm-hmm. The first replica I owned was the Intercontinental belt because that belt took me to a special moment in WWE's history because I always remember, okay, what is Chris Jericho doing? This is why I'm tuning in Monday Night Raw. Me and my grandmother sitting there, she reintroduced me to wrestling now in this day and age, and I was just like, I don't care about the where's Jericho with the title? Let's see what he's doing. It reminds me of those things. Hence, I always say one of my favorite matches is a ladder match involving that belt.
Yeah.
I've been on record saying that's probably my favorite time frame when that belt was around. Not to say it was my favorite era. It was just when that belt was around. And I was sad for it to go. I understood why I had to go. But these belts always seem to bring us back to those moments. Because like you said, I'm always going to remember this. And
there you go.
The founder said it best. Jericho's first run hopefully is his last. The only way I hope it's not his last if he takes like a year off and comes back make it special. And then make it special. Because right now with for the world title, I really don't care. But this takes me back to Le Champion. All the stuff he was doing, the headway, the New Japan matches.
It was back when the AEW championship was the most important thing on the show. Like the show started and ended with Jericho, as it was supposed to. But as of now, it's just like, we're not here to talk about that though.
But I'm gonna just say this: had a full circle moment during my retail career years ago, ringing out my family and seeing the joy in kids' faces when his mom was buying him the WWE title, brought back memories of my childhood. And that's when it just takes you back. Like, put it like this. If you see, and this is for all the well, I ain't going to say people of the 80s because other people have this. When you see an Optimus Prime figure, I know you hear, you got the touch.
Yeah.
You instantly just hear that song and wondering why, because it takes you back to that moment. Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that Justin said that you had a powerful speech.
Thank you.
And of course, he gets your fist.
No, I'm telling you, and there's another one, and because as you were talking about this, and I'm just reading, I'm touched by these stories. I really am, and Martin had put up this last story, when he talks about as he says, as a father, I'm not letting my son play with my replica, but we wrestle for our foam belt, and I'm sure that builds more value to him than my replica ever could. So toy banks for memories, bro. That's how me, my father, and my brother. Like, I get chills just thinking about it. Like, I'm an older man now. I have my own family now. You know what I mean? There's so much that I'm responsible for, but those moments, they last a lifetime. These are the stories. Like, people have no idea what like wrestling really means to people, and everybody has their own version of whatever it is for them. But in our space, professional wrestling, the memories, the moments, these stories, these things build legacies. Like I said, I'm in a group text today with my father and my brother, and they still watch wrestling and they still text and we still go back and forth. And all I can think about is us in the living room tussling and doing, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're so far away from each other now because we're all grown and we're trying to, stay. But guess what? As long as I have this keeps us close. So if you have kids and you sharing these moments with your family, with your siblings, your loved ones, anybody, this is a token. As long as I have this, I'll always have those moments. I'll always have those memories. Certain things will never change. And this is a reminder. If I'm having a rough day, if stuff is not going right, I look for my stuff. It's because they're just these memory markers for me. Right. And as wrestling fans, it's not just something that we watch on TV. It's not just something that wrestling has been there for us in so many spaces. And I don't mean to be on this high horse. It's not even Sunday and I'm preaching. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, wrestling has been there in the midst of almost everything. For a lot of us, when stuff wasn't going right, wrestling was still there. If we had nowhere to turn, nowhere to go, and we just needed some time to free our minds, it didn't have to be advice. You know why? Because you had this. If you didn't feel like a champion in life, guess what? You could be one. You know what I mean? So when I hear all these stories and everybody's just being open and honest about this is why these things, and this is to answer your question full circle. This is why the moments with these toy belts, with the foam belts, where it all began, the genesis, will always hold more weight for me personally than my time with the replicas. Is because my time with the replicas is relatively new. You know what I mean? My time with those foam belts, oh my gosh, that's my entire childhood. That's my entire midhood and adulthood. It wasn't just one era. It was multiple places in my life where I had these memories. And as long as those things are around me, I will always feel it. I'll always feel that love. I'll always feel those times, and they uplift me in a lot of situations. And it's like, bro, I'm just getting started with the replicas. We having more fun now than we've ever had. Trust me. And that adventure will keep on going, right? But the adventures of the past can be solidified forever. So for me, it'll always be the cheap foam toy belts made out of plastic that brought so much love and joy and great memories to my life and so many others. Like I said, we're here. You could do a whole documentary just on all these stories, and you'll be almost in tears listening to how people had these moments and how they still affect them in a positive way. And I feel like we need more of that in the world. This is why I encourage people to be themselves, to enjoy this stuff for what it really is, and never to be ashamed about it. It's because it molded you and it shaped you to who you are. And if that's who the heck you are, then that's who you are. And you should be proud of that, especially all the great things that are attached to it. So, like I said, to answer your question, it'll always be the classic toy foam belts, because that's where it all started for me. And that's where it started for a lot of people. And like I said, for us that chose not to grow up, it's still running wild with us today. So I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more proud to be in this space and to have the memories that I have, and keep building new ones. So like with this one right here. Look at the cow.
The fact that you segued to that so fast is hilarious.
You see how smooth that was?
Like, you was waiting to say, how can I insert this into this conversation? And it's insane because we talk about these moments, and I don't want to get sentimental, but we always talk about these moments, and it's an escape. It's always something that we can go to, because there's been sometimes where I just come stand in the belt room and I just stand here and just be like, everything's okay now. You know what I mean? Like, you just feel like,
and that's okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's crazy because the toy belts, like, having them on display, like I joke about, in my last house, I literally had a wall of Jericho. And on that wall were the toy belts, because that was what's key to his career, to me being a Jerichoholic. Notice I said Jerichoholic, not AEW whatever he calling himself, not part of the learning tree. But I know as a Jerichoholic, that's what was special to me. Like I haven't worn the "Could you please shut the shirt" because I haven't had a need to, because it's now nostalgia. It's now part of my, not necessarily wall of Jericho. I need to put it in a shadow box and make it part of it.
There you
So
go. Yeah.
it's insane that these toy belts, you just get a different feeling. And
Yeah.
like it's just a different, it's hard to say, like you get a replica, you're excited. If anybody want to see somebody excited, go back and look at the last episode with the unboxing. And
Yeah.
I was speechless.
Yeah.
But
You definitely were.
looking at this, I was just like, yep, I remember how excited I was that he was the first, because I always thought that if you gave him the ball, he could do more with it. I feel like his first run as undisputed champion was kind of like we don't know what to do. But then when he was making the list, he showed his range. I'm like, yep, when I saw this belt, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how good it was at first and how disappointed I was. I didn't go to the show in DC when him and Cody fought for the title. But
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? But I watched all of these things, and it always takes me back to that. So if I get mad about what's happening now, I
Sure.
just go look at my IC belt. I go look
There
at,
you go.
and it brings me back to I don't want to say a better time, but a happier place.
There you go. Fair
But
enough. Yeah.
he said, I feel this. Justin said, I feel the same way. Getting my brother started on his replica collection a few, he means Christmases ago. But Hugh, this is a question for you. But real question, we'll be running into each other at Raw on Monday. Dun, 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 dun. He's probably going to pop in because when you say his name, he appears. Oh, I didn't say his name the correct way. Excuse me, 1 second, Realness. H to the A to the S to the T to the H to the E to the 3 to the R to the D. I think I said his name correctly. Hopefully, he doesn't just do it pop in, but you know how he is. That's all I was. Look at him. Just had a question for you, sir. Did you see this?
You on
Did
mute?
you see it?
It's like a Teams meeting.
Okay. Oh, he
Oh,
said, "Wait a minute." He's
I
doing
feel like he
something.
ran over there, knocked over all his belts, and then came back. His name, and he'll hear. I believe
My
in
fault.
Brother Hugh.
My fault. SpongeBob is still on.
Oh, okay. You saw it. Can you address?
yeah.
Can you address? Will championship culture be on the road on Monday?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, what color shirt will you have on so you can look for the
I'm
brightest
not sure.
colors?
I'm not sure. I'm a big fan of the pink, especially since the wanted man is yeah, absolutely.
Since the wanted man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Hugh, did you have anything to add to these toy belts before we wrap up? Because I feel like Realness
got a little deep.
Added some.
Yeah, he did. I was over here wiping tears away. I'm not gonna lie. That's why it took me a little bit of time to get.
I had to slow down. I was getting choked up a little bit. I said, "Let me slow this down, bro. You're going too fast." My voice gonna start quivering. I said, "Let me slow this down a little bit, man. Come on."
Because the only other question I have for him, because he gave us every belt as a story, but for each belt almost, and I'm glad he's showing off that world title, because I didn't think he was showing it off to the world, because I don't think we ever seen it on camera, have we?
It's been there every week. What are you talking about?
No, not that your replica, your toy belt, your World Heavyweight Championship, not yours personally.
That was. I'm tripping. That was the debut. Yeah. Because I knew we were going to be doing this, and I was like, this would be a great segue to go into, like kind of collecting then, and then like, hey, look, this is still a thing now, and you talked about it because you said, look, when I'm out, when I see certain things, I'm like, you're constantly thinking about other people in these same spaces, and I was like, this is one of these moments. Like I said, the brothers got to thinking about me, and brought us back from was this Mania? You got us from?
Yep,
Mania.
Yeah. The brothers got us. They just, like I said,
as soon as I came back, he said, "Oh, that was a good match." I said, "What?" LA Knight and AJ Styles. I said,
"Sorry." Sorry. Listen, you did a good thing, though. You did a good thing.
Of course, I missed AJ's match, and LA Knight, and I was like, because I originally was like, all right, I'm gonna just run down there real quick in the line, and it was crazy because the security guard, it was a curtain, and you could see box. I said, "Are those the boxes?" And he started smiling, and I was like, "Yep, those are the." Because then they released that shirt as soon as number 3 hit. You saw people running to go get them daggone shirts. But
I think it was the new music that ran you away. That's what it was.
I think so. I think I was irritated because I said, "Why did he change his music at
That's
Mania?"
exactly what it was.
Even though we were waiting for Cody Raheem's new music, which still didn't happen. We're still waiting for that. But anyway,
the one with more metal.
Yeah, the one. Actually, yeah, that's what it is. It is more metal. The one that Downstate re-recorded. That released it on that Thursday before Mania, confusing the heck out of us. But enough about that.
We played it like 4,000 times in the parking lot.
And in the car. We blasted.
Because you said it. Because you called me while you was in the car and it's playing. Like, listen to this.
Yes. Right.
You're like, oh my God, Cody's gonna win. He's got new music. It's got plenty of metal in it. I was like, oh shoot, it's getting real, man. Like that's like the day of WrestleMania jitters. We was all going through it. Like, oh boy, it's about to happen.
We were like oh God, oh no. But look what Justice said. He said, we are bringing replicas with us on Monday, so you can get up and close and look at a real one.
There we go. I like that.
Which one you bringing? Which one you bringing? Because you might do it. Everybody has a story in person.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
There it is.
Be ready. Ready for your close up, Justin. Yeah. Realness. This was definitely a Hey, look at your collection. Look how you put it on his shoulder. Look at that. Look how that thing is shot.
See, these aren't heavy. These can sit. Just let it.
Yeah.
Right.
But mine kept sliding. I don't know why. Maybe it was my shirt.
Because look, see, there you go. I got the new version. So the Velcro is stitched into this little plastic leather strap Jimmy Jam versus, we got the old.
And it looks like the leather is it's not one side is shorter than the other, like the
it's
the network one. It's all one. It's the same size on both sides.
Yep. So so it's pieces right there. So look at that. See, this is stable. This is evolution. I ain't mad at it.
The new reinforced one. Okay.
They say, "Oh yeah, we
like a kid can go to town. If I had this, bro, you could tell me what? I'll be at dinner table like this. My mom like, come on, can you please put that down? What we trying to eat? All right, I'm gonna put it down, but it's going right back. I'm gonna show that the dinner's over.
Right. Buddy, look what he said he's bringing. The very title Dwayne has on his shoulder, and my WWE title. You're a bold man for bringing two belts to the show.
Because they're heavy.
Because after one, I'm like, why did I bring this?
Right.
I'm always regretting it. But then when I don't have it, I'm like, why did I bring a belt?
It's got to be one. You got to bring one you can throw around your waist and chilling.
That's what he usually does.
Yeah.
He usually has it around his waist and everybody looking at him like he's a superstar as we're walking through downtown.
That's exactly.
There you go.
I walk with all the swag.
First of all, and it's not the first time, brother, who has done that because he did that Morgan State homecoming and they picked him up and they ran him through the quad. I don't know how long people have been drinking at this point. I wasn't there at homecoming, but they said, brother, he said he raced him through the quad with the belt. And he was the true story. He and booted like Ric Flair.
Absolutely.
Just
and it was like they had you. Then they have you on their shoulders like you was the chat, like you just wanted.
Yep,
I told you,
Mike. I was thinking about bringing out my Fiend belt just for this, but I don't want people freaked out, or I don't want a whole bunch of eyes on me, and I'll be mad if somebody touches it and something happened to it, because that's the one thing when Hugh Tex was like, "Oh, we get to see that match," I was like, "Oh, do we?"
Wait a minute.
Oh, so I might.
But you got to be careful because you got to be careful. They have WWE stooges like in the audience. Like if you bring it and they see people responding to you, don't be surprised if it's in the shop like a week later. Because they do that in the action figure world.
And I'm telling you, I'm really thinking about it. I'm like 50% on. Do I bring it out? Because I haven't seen that at a show since Bray Wyatt passed.
Absolutely,
that's what I'm saying. I don't
know. I like to bring my rule on. Bring something that nobody else is going to have.
Yeah,
people might
that way
because the lights go out on the show. You just see Bray Wyatt's head on your shoulder.
The Fiend, because just the eyes.
Those eyes, right?
My eyes,
crazy yellow Beetlejuice looking.
That belt is creepy looking. So he's not holding both
belt tucked away in a corner just in case. That's not laying out. So you walk to the room and the Fiend staring at you.
It's laying behind me.
Is it still in the bag?
Absolutely, it doesn't come out of the bag. When I had it at my last place, remember it was on the wall in the corner. And every time I walked in the room, I felt like it was like this.
Yeah, that's
every time I opened it, I was like, "Why is he looking at me?" I felt like it was following me too. I was like, "Nope." And I saw online where people, when it first came out, they were turning their eyeballs so they would look crazy. I was like, "Not gonna touch it." No. I said, "Not gonna have a Beetlejuice moment on me."
Right.
And look, Mike would say, "No, bring the Fiend belt." That belt's that's perfect belt to bring. I'm really thinking about it especially because the Wyatt 6, But then
Don't think about it. Just do it. Just do it.
No, because then if something happened to it,
Just
or
do
like
it.
say if I set it
It's
down,
nothing's gonna happen to it.
first off, I can't fit it around my waist,
Oh, true.
Can't.
and I don't want to put it around my.
How comfortable would you be bringing the belt bag with you?
And just keep it in the bag.
I mean, like
Just
so
have
many
it on my
times you
shoulder.
just go to the bag and just I don't know. I'm trying to meet you halfway somewhere. I'm not coming up with a
Yeah.
good, but it's just a solution.
But you know the crazy part, the belt bag looks like Freddy Krueger.
It
Oh,
does.
never mind. The bag doesn't help.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
And that's what I said. Look at that.
As bad as the belt.
I mean, you talked about this would get attention on everybody
Nah,
because they would be like, "Oh, look at that."
I gotta
I'm
throw a
sorry,
blanket
but
over that. That
You
even
might as well take it out the bag now. You might as well take it out the bag real quick. Yeah.
I'm gonna show Mike why it's so creepy, and why I really don't want to, because I swear the eyes just. Because you have to. Ladies and gentlemen, that unzipping is the very beginning of Dolph Ziggler's music.
I was filming this video. Oh, look at that thing.
Tell me that's not creepy.
That is. Ooh, that's a little bit nuts.
Imagine walking in the room and you just see this in the corner.
Like, hey, what's up, Brandon?
And it really doesn't look. It doesn't really bend well either. That's the other reason. It's kind of.
I get why you're nervous to bring it out.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the strap is totally different too. Like it's like a belt.
Literally 2 belts.
But it's like the face mask. It's supposed to be made like his face mask. That's the thing. And it does say "Let me in."
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it was
That's
like his mask. See, and it has the actual belt buckles on both sides, and then you put it through like an actual belt buckle. So that's what I'm saying. It really doesn't bend, and I don't want to mess up.
He never wore belts around his waist, did he? He wore them
No,
around
he
his
wore
head.
like
Nah, he put it around his
like
face.
this.
Yeah.
He walked to the ring like this with the mask on. So oh shoot, just
Look, he looking around.
Right. I heard it. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and remember, this wasn't the most expensive one. Remember, they came out with the one that was expensive, like a couple thousand, and it was like
$70,000. Yeah.
So yeah, Mike, you think I still should take this?
I get it. It's more of an art piece at this point. I understand why you wouldn't. Brother Hughes telling you still bring it, but I understand why you wouldn't. That's just me.
Respect.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's going to go back in the bag. I think it's going back in the bag. I think it's going to.
Shout out to the TNA, the Impact Tag title behind you too as well. That's an underrated championship belt.
Oh Lord, look at what he said.
I like
so all this was happening. Well, of course, Martin said, "Martin, you stop it. You're Hughes' favorite, not my favorite." Is that the founder? Did we establish that was the founder or not? He said,
I believe so.
Justin said, make like Nike and just do it.
There it is. See?
Have that title get a chance to be on TV and free advertisement.
There you go. With a big championship culture shirt on.
Plus, I need to see it with my own eyes.
The product.
Come on now.
Bart, you think that's a gorgeous belt? But you know what? In fairness, Martin, your taste is kind of mixed when it comes to belt because Realness, you know he really loves the cruiserweight title, the purple strap one.
I'm okay with that. What do you have against it?
No, I don't have anything against it. I like it.
It sounds like it's wrong because he likes it. Like,
no, because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't find a lot of people that like that belt. You know what I mean?
It's not like you said, like the Global Force Wrestling X Division Intercontinental Championship. That was atrocious.
That thing
was it the NXT version or the WWE version?
Look at
he said.
This is why we don't. That's because that's your favorite. Remember, how do the teeth feel? They're fake. That's a good thing. That's a plus. But it's like a foam, like his chin. Oh shit! I'm getting myself in place. It's all like one piece. I don't know if you can see it. Is it on the camera clear enough? Because you know, with the mask, that's where his tongue will come through when he was breathing. So
they should have had like a voice recording or something on the belt. Say, "Let me in."
And first off, I gotta turn this one down. I don't even look at it. I don't even look.
You gotta put it away now.
Yeah,
put it away.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of noise. So he said, "It's so beautiful. I regret not buying that belt fresh out of college and broke." Well, I got
all been there.
That glitch. Remember that glitch that WWE had?
Oh yeah,
and I only paid like $124 for it.
Yeah, you have a lot of belt fate going on.
I do. And then Brandon Edney says, "I wouldn't bring it if you can't wear it." See, he gets it. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. You know, us Brandons got to stick together. Stop it, Martin. Knit Ram, stop it. I'm calling you a stage name. It's only you that wants that, okay? Yeah, that was a deal in a lifetime.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Now,
He said, giving people what they want.
that's what. But that's you. If you do, have you
You
talked
gotta
to
kiss it.
Martin on the phone? Have you talked to him on the phone?
No,
No,
but
I
you
read that. You read
have
that
to
in his
kiss it.
voice, didn't you?
Yes.
You read that in
Yes.
his voice, right? Okay.
Yes.
So when you are on Opinionated or the inaugural champions of 3 Count Trivia, like
Yes,
the
yeah.
championship culture guys are. Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike. I know this is a sore subject because you lost both. Sorry.
Dang.
Oh,
Martin is a very interesting host, and I'm gonna say this. You get to when he says these comments, I hear his voice saying them. So he's like
the
Drew.
guy is
Drew
crazy. He's crazy.
cut a
Just
promo
let's
at
just
no
say
time.
that.
Yeah,
He's
he'll be
disturbed.
talking that. He'll be like, "All right, now here we go." I'm like, "How do you set that on?" I'm like, how do you do that? Like, who does that? Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that yet. Don't do that, Justin. Maybe next week. Give him one more week. Give him another week, and then you can make all the references you want. Because you can't even say spoilers or anything like that. And plus, you got a lot.
I
of
wouldn't
catching up
understand.
to do.
I wouldn't
I was about to
understand
say
it.
something so bad, but because somebody spoiled something for me, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be better than that.
Oh, that's good. I think we kind of had some fun with this. This is what championship culture is. A whole bunch of belts, a whole bunch of fun, a whole bunch of engagement. We definitely turned this into a this is semi champ. I don't want to say championship culture after dark because that's wrong after dark. This is after the bell is already taken.
Come on, man. It's got to be something. You guys need,
It gotta
an
be.
after branding
This
game
is just
or
the tip.
overtime or something.
This is just the tip.
Hey,
Okay.
son, it's crazy. That's it. That's it. Trademarking now.
Like,
Put it on the
that's
shirt.
as bad as saying.
That's what I'm about to say. Get the t-shirts ready. Let's go. All about the tip. Yes, sir.
Stop it. I can't.
He tricks me out every time. He'd be like, pause it. Brother, he'd be like, no, play.
Press play. Press play. Don't pause that play. Let that play out.
Oh,
say what
geez.
you're gonna say.
Listen, now ain't no pause. Play.
See, we were fine until I said your name and you appeared, right? We were definitely good until then. So
yeah. Yep.
Realness.
Yes, sir.
Any last words?
Oh man, yeah. Don't be ashamed of who you are, man. Embrace your memories, embrace your past, man. This is embrace your beginnings. That's the thing. Embrace your own genesis. This has been fun. I appreciate the opportunity to I tell a little bit about my story as a wrestling fan and as a belt collector and kind of where I got started because I couldn't afford replica belts. So these foam belts have a lot of memories to me, and their origin stories are my origin stories, and this is a crucial chapter in my wrestling story. So and I think that story is going to come out sooner rather than later, but this is a great spot. This will be a great reference. So if people want to know more about the realness, this is, as a wrestling fan, this is a great place to start, man. So this means the world to me. It's very near and dear to my heart and my soul. So I appreciate the opportunity to, you know what I mean? Like I said, you guys have a great platform where it's all about telling these stories and bringing people together as far as sharing their stories as well. And, just letting the world in a little bit. So I appreciate the opportunity. So I appreciate you, brothers. And
as always, we can't thank you enough because definitely when the realness gets a chance to shine, Brandon, I read his comment, it threw me off. When realness gets a chance to shine, he's always in a different mood. And
I was ready.
Just we have to just put this on there. Okay,
that's it. That's it. Hey, we're gonna make it happen.
So anyway, but to quote the founder of Four Sides of the Ring, because Dwayne alluded to this earlier, and I was going to end on this notion. It says, wrestling is more than just entertainment. It's a form of escapism, a chance to lose yourself in the world of larger-than-life characters and epic battles. It's a source of inspiration as you watch the ordinary men and women transform into superheroes before your eyes, overcoming adversity. Sorry. I just messed up the whole moment. Overcoming adversity and achieving greatness against all odds. That's really what wrestling is. Your eyes.
You teared up for a second. Yep. Oh my God.
Who did? Oh, you watched it live too.
I messed up. I messed up. My bad. That was me.
As you were reading that, I don't know why, but I just kept thinking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know why. I said, yes, Yes, the wrestling is a place where you can imagine beating up your boss and giving them the finger and a stunner or two, and then taking
There
over
it
the
is.
show, and being a champion all in the same night.
Mhm.
Within 2 hours of programming. This is great.
Yes, this is, and it's always a good time. And now the only thing is, what we didn't do tonight here? We didn't say if we was going to have notes, where he was going to have notes at, because if you tune in tomorrow to the flagship show, the Wrestling Around Now, I feel like Realness is going to have notes on himself about something they either forgot or something I
You
forgot.
think I'm not?
I just
Absolutely.
he got the whole segment.
Absolutely.
But
Yippee!
on a brighter note, you realize this was episode 25 of season 2, right?
That
It
is
wasn't
correct.
25, but
Huh?
it's more than 25. But okay.
I thought this was 25.
No,
This wasn't?
What's
It's not.
this?
It's more than 25.
What number we at?
You lied.
Is it
32?
26?
Wait, is this 26? Is this 26? We missed
That's
25?
We're pushing 30, sir.
Put it like
Dang.
this. Officially, unofficially, but maybe officially, not yet till we get the accurate number.
Season 3's already started, ladies and gentlemen. Psych. We tricked you. You didn't know it, but we already started season 3. Here we are, ladies. Oh, geez.
I hate everything about Dwayne.
I'm it's like, what? Oh, psych. We tricked y'all. Season 3 already started. Join us next week.
But we will say this. When we get the official number, that means that season 2 is coming to an end. And what a ride it has been. I will say this about season 2, whether this is 25 or 26. Just know when the season premiere, or 30, 31, when the season premiere of season 3 happens, you will know. But I'm going to tell you this thing. Season 2 has been a ride. It has been a wave. It's been fun. We've had a lot of guests. We've had a lot of insight. Met some new friends. Reconnected with some old. But one thing that still remains the same is what here?
Every bell has a story.
Always. So remember, everybody has a story, and I can't wait to hear yours.
Peace.
Oh, boy.
That wasn't an outro.
Hey,
We're
man.
still there, huh?
Yeah,
Hey.
we're still
That
live.
definitely wasn't the outro, was it? Realness.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm about to join WCW. I feel like I had a promo package to join WCW. Tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, on PBS.
Realness.
Debuting. This is why
Realness, what did all of that mean?
I don't know. Let's get to the bottom of it.
I don't know, because this is definitely just a tip at this point.
The whole tip.
The red light
That
is
is your-
on.
The
This
full
is
tip.
exclusive. Yes.
I'm looking forward. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it because I feel like next week on TBS, I'm debuting.
I don't know,
I'm
because
thinking about the debut on WCW, when Thunder or something.
all through season 2, there was always some disruptions anytime you were on the show. Oh, okay.
Oh Lord,
yeah.
right now.
Apparently, he said everything shut down. There was always some disruptions when you were on the show, and for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out what these things meant. He said,
too.
"Heck, look, did this? See, y'all thought we were done." He said, "Heck yeah, post credit scenes."
Like it was a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
Psych.
and then Mike.
I ain't gonna lie.
We
'cause
lied.
I thought we was close. I said, man, we still recording. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
That
And
was
look,
89.
Uh-oh. Justin said it. Look, got him. And this will never happen. This will never ever happen, Martin.
Just do it, man. Just do it.
So listen,
the people want it. You gotta give the people what they want, man.
Yeah,
come on, Brandon.
Pretty much, and nobody wants that but you and him, because that's
Brandon.
No, Martin is actually not. It's not.
Brandon.
I'm gonna take your. But real, it's always been something crazy when you're on the show. Have you not noticed that?
I've noticed it, man. I figured it was Uncle Howdy. I thought he had something to do with it. Thought they were tracking you guys. What the deal was, but
I don't know what type of energy you bring into the show, bro. But I
don't know, because you're always doing something. Maybe it's maybe it's the TRDA brand. I don't know. But
maybe
I am a disruptor, so you know.
That's you. But
you wouldn't be the first time. I can almost guarantee it's not going to be the last.
I was going to say it's not going to be the last. That's just becoming your MO. But with that being said, brother, we got to end the show on one high note, right?
Sure.
So from I called you the Freebird of championship culture, right? Mm-hmm. You got something to say. Good job on season 2, because you made it through all 5 shows that you had creative freedom over. And we said at the start of season 2, because you started the season with finishing the story. But little do you know that story.
A long time ago, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. Yeah.
It was in January, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was back in January.
Yeah. We were still wearing coats and hoodies.
Yes.
Right.
And I was like,
it was cold that night too.
Heat on. It was, because we definitely was out there, and he had his hat on and everything. But to commemorate this season, wanted to do something for the realness.
Okay.
So, what you got here?
You like appetizers?
Well, I am privy to like mozzarella sticks and wings a little bit.
Okay.
I mean,
well, let me give you a little. Ooh, look at that. Mm-hmm. Just a little something. Just a little something.
Oh wow!
You'll get the full.
My question is, how do you get just a plate like that?
See, you asking questions now.
I'm just saying. I see some branding with hat.
All I see is a lot of black and gold on there, don't you?
A lot of black and gold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's still wearing his hat, like the video.
It's probably going to be red stones in it too, if the brand has anything to do with it.
Maybe red. Possibly.
Well, I saw the video and said I look better in red. I saw that. So you did wear red one time. Hat's always on. I see some black and gold there. It was some black and gold, and I'm sorry, in this belt. I mean, you seem to like black and gold a lot. The belt that you showed tonight was black and gold.
It's kind of my thing.
Apparently so, because the video didn't lie. Then you always talk about a touch of nostalgia. But I'm gonna shut up, because I know you're gonna go back and watch the video again, aren't you?
A little bit.
Did you say a little bit?
A little bit.
Here, talk to the man. I think I've put that back on the screen. I need to look at that again. Let me.
As long as that middle plate doesn't have like a silhouette of my hat. Look at that. Oh, that thing. That's a beauty.
It says TRDA, the brand.
Mm-hmm. She's pretty.
Yeah, she is. I like that.
But you see that color combination goes well together.
It does.
It does.
It does. Go well with the rest of my family. And the rest of the other ones, they're sitting.
Mark is really trying.
The wild too, by the way. I just keep bringing stuff into that one room. It's like my personal museum to my childhood and my whimsical way of life. She just quit. She's like, stop bringing stuff in here. I'm like, no. She don't even care no more. She's like, I don't even. And I come in, I sit in the middle of it like this. And I just go,
I'm happy. That's a happy place.
It is well within my soul.
It's paradise. Right.
I got Power Rangers over here. I got Turtles over there. I got Wilson everywhere.
I got a little bit of everything.
Me. Yeah.
Batman hanging from the ceiling.
I got X-Men and Spider-Man over here. Trust me, I've not given up my childhood. When I get a big enough space, trust me, it is going to be like Wayne's World.
It's going to happen.
Like right now, this is Planet Wayne. But like when I get my space, I'm like, oh yeah, it's on. I'm gonna walk back, and that's gonna be my time. I'm gonna walk back into the 90s, and whenever that belt comes in, that's gonna be front and center. Look at that. They're waiting.
What belt?
They're waiting.
Belt?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that one too. That one
That one
too.
too.
And
Okay.
that one, whatever you guys got working on over there. Because I seen that TRDA logo. I was like, wait a minute, that's all me. So that's guys.
But he
another one's
automatically
coming.
just assumed it was a belt.
Right. Like
This
Another
is
one's coming.
it's more like
it's
a belt buckle.
no, it's just that's it. That's
It's a
it.
belt buckle. Like
Sorry to
that's what
disappoint
it
you,
is.
buddy. I don't know what to
Another
tell
one's
you.
coming.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Another
So
one's
with that
coming.
notion here, I think it's time to officially end this episode of where do you get those wonderful toys?
Just get those wonderful toys.
Yes. I'm waiting for.
One more time.
Just-
One more time. Hit it one more time.
Just get those wonderful toys.
Just leave
That
it there. You're running
defines
that all
that-
tomorrow too, so it doesn't even matter.
That defines
Yes, sir.
that episode. I mean that movie so much. Like if you don't remember nothing from that movie, you remember that.
Toys.
Yes, because what you call it was so angry because that was like Batman just zip lined out of the building and it was just
Right.
great.
Right.
You know about.
Oh, he looking at the comments.
Oh, look at this. Dwayne is about to text Hollywood like, you know about the bill?
Yeah,
Listen,
I'm
there's
not
no
even-
double turn.
You got
I
this.
told y'all season 2, I'm not keeping nothing from y'all because
That's
that
not true.
start of
Season 3?
season 2.
You're lying.
No, I
because you
said
have
all.
another championship culture belt on the way, so don't do that. Yeah,
Have I kept anything from you?
I don't know, Brandon. Have you?
Hey, look.
I asked for creative input. Did I or did
Okay.
I not?
He
So
did,
I didn't keep it from you.
but
Now did I?
you didn't keep that from us. But there might be aspects of it that you didn't keep from us.
No, I asked for creative. Listen, we're not gonna argue semantics. I
How
didn't
far
keep
along
it-
is the belt? Spill the beans.
Dwayne knows should be Brandon
No, he doesn't
scared
want
to
to
kiss the belt. That's gonna
Spill
be
the
the
beans
That's
like you
gonna
do on
be-
your plate.
Listen, first off,
Spill the
What are you,
beans of
50?
the pudding. Nope.
all right. So in that notion, we're gonna go ahead and go to championship culture just to tip. When the red light goes off. Don't
This
forget,
keeps getting
tune in-
worse.
It is. Tune in
is.
on Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. for the flagship show, the Wrestling Realm Now podcast, where we discuss all things wrestling. And I think this Wednesday is a special preview of SummerSlam, maybe?
Of
Might
course,
be
you
some
know it.
championship culture shenanigans. Might be some the realness shenanigans. It might be some, who knows? But we know we got SummerSlam coming up this weekend. And no, nobody said jelly beans. I gotta stop looking at the comments when I'm trying
Ooh,
to wrap
we
up.
got jelly beans?
And
What
don't
kind?
forget to, I hate everything about you. He's gonna have jelly beans tomorrow on the show. Thanks, founder. That's your birthday twin, your favorite. And Martin, sorry to tell you, you're still not Dwayne's favorite, by the way. So don't forget, tune in every Tuesday to Championship Culture on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I can't even end the show. This is why. Oh, all right.
I have no problem doing it. Bye.
He
We
can
still